Let's see. Hey, welcome to Fishes of the Amazon. I'm glad you came today. We got everybody. We got like 10 people that have signed up, and we got a few more people joining us. My name is Rick Roslin, and I'm a teacher in Wayne Township Schools, and I love science. And one of my hobbies and the things I really love are fish and tropical fish. And so I've invited a good friend of mine, Jeff Cardwell, who lives in Kokomo, and I'll let him introduce himself and then we'll come back and get our program started. Jeff?
Well, like Rick said, I live in Kokomo, Indiana, and one of my hobbies is aquarium keeping and tropical fish, and I like to catch my own. So I've been about 40 times and maybe as many as a dozen times with Rick to South and Central America to catch fish for my aquarium. So ever since I was a little kid, I've been interested in anything in water, and that's translated to about 60 aquariums up to 1,000 gallons in size in the basement of my house. So hobby gone wild, maybe.
So we'll be hearing from Jeff and doing one of his famous programs of Fishes of the Amazon. I'd like to also introduce another teacher from Wayne Township, Allison Kempers. Allison?
Hi everyone, welcome. I'm Allison Kempers, and I'm a preschool teacher at Wayne Township and a graduate student at Butler University. And I love science, and some of my interests include looking for geodes, looking for fossils, the natural world, and mushroom hunting. So I'm glad that you're here today. Thank you.
Do we have any rules for everybody, Allison?
Yes, a few housekeeping rules. Please type your questions into the chat box, and we will have a short Q&A at the end, a question and answer at the end of the presentation. Also, if you want to be able to see the presenters pretty well, you're going to go up and click on speaker view at the top right hand corner, speaker view, and that'll make the presenter's screen larger so you can see it. And also just make sure you're muted and your camera is off. Have fun, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, Allison. And so I'm going to do a little introduction. When I go to the Amazon, I do love fish, but since I'm a teacher, I like a lot of other things also. So I brought back a collection I'm going to share with you. And these are some of the things from the Amazon. Since we're talking about fish, one day in our canoe, we came across this up on a sandbar. And this is a giant catfish. And you can tell everything in the Amazon is there to protect itself. And this bony skull is pretty cool. Jeff probably knows, probably has pictures of what this looked like when it was living. This is just, and that's just, they get a lot bigger than this. And of course, we would go by canoe whenever we could. And this canoe is kind of interesting because it actually has, I'm going to switch cameras here so you can see this better. It actually has the scales of one of the largest fish in the world, Arapaima. And I don't know if you can see that scale right there, but it's that is a fish scale, one scale of a fish. And since we're in Brazil, the country of Brazil that we go to, it was named after this hardwood, which looks like that's not been painted. That's the actual color of that wood. It's red. Brazier, or the country, is named after this wood, since it's a beautiful tropical rainforest. And a lot of the woods, there are so many different types of woods in the flooded forest. This is a canoe paddle that we would use. And we have some friends who started an organization there to actually use pieces of wood to carve the animals of the Amazon and sell these to teach the people, the wood carvers, so they can keep their families going in a sustained forest. And maybe you've seen these guys before. These are frogs from carved in the different size, different sounds. And the little pipa. We saw a lot of frogs in the Amazon. And the only snake I brought back was this one carved in this wood here. But we did see lots of snakes and caught a few snakes. But one of my favorite was, if there's fish in the Amazon, there's things that eat the fish, like this caiman. And Jeff can tell you more about those. And some of them get quite large. And luckily, I caught one about this size. And that's about the only size I want to mess with one. We did see dolphins. There's freshwater dolphins. This is something that's made and been by some of the native artisans here of a botu, or a dolphin. The waters of the Amazon are amazing. You wait till you see what Jeff has to share with you. Last thing I probably want to show you is this one. Everybody is worried about this, and well, maybe you should be. I don't know. This is a piranha, and as Jeff will tell you, there's more than one type of piranha in the Amazon. And this guy is with some sharp teeth that you do not want to put your finger in there. I know we've all been bitten by smaller ones, not big ones. So I hope you enjoy this talk, and we're gonna Jeff's gonna spend about 15 minutes or so and share with you his slide of the fishes of the Amazon. Jeff?
All right, well, let's get started here. I'll hit the share screen and get to it. So we're going to look at the fishes of the Amazon in the Amazon basin in a kind of a quick program today. This is a Ray Troll art print of the fishes of the Amazon that I have in my house. The Amazon basin is roughly 2.3 million square miles. It's about the size of the continental United States, and it covers all of these different countries. At 4,000 miles long, the Amazon River, which starts way down here in Peru and goes all the way up here to the Atlantic Ocean, drains enough water to every day into the Atlantic Ocean to provide the New York City with water for a whole year. So, or for 9 years, I'm sorry, 9 years. And the river itself discharges 20% of the world's fresh water into the Atlantic Ocean. So it's a huge, huge river system, bigger than the volume of the next 10 river systems combined, the Congo and the Nile and the other big rivers of the world. So it's also home to more than there's the drainage. And this is, like I said, about the size of the United States. About 3,000 different species of fish live there, maybe as many as 5,000. So in all the oceans of the world, there are about 20,000. So a huge percentage of the freshwater fishes of the world come from the Amazon. And when we're down there, we want to look and we want to find the fishes that we're searching for. A good place to go is to the markets. They have representatives of a lot of the different fish that are big enough for people to eat, like these pike cichlids and these big piranhas. And then we talk to the fishermen to find out where they're going and where they're catching and where we maybe want to go to see. And this is Flavio, a friend of ours. Flavio lost his finger to a piranha in a fishing accident where he got one in the boat and flipped around, and as he tried to get it, these are the teeth, and it bit his end of his finger off. And we can also go to educators or TV people that have been in the Amazon, like our friend Eduardo. He has a television show called The Nativo in Brazil, and he's been a friend of ours for many years. He's one of the ones, instead of the crocodile hunter jumping on the back of the big alligator, he points at it as it goes by. He thinks that's a lot safer way to do it. But if you look, we're fishing in the river, and he's got his hands full with his line and his fish, but so he didn't have any place to keep his bait but to chew on it while he was waiting to catch another fish. So, and we catch them. We get in the water, actually get in the water to go catch the fish themselves. We throw nets. We use cast nets like this that trap the fish underneath them and then bring it in. You can see we can catch some pretty good sized fish. We use little push nets. We use fishing poles. We use our hands, sometimes even just sliding hands under rocks. And once in a while, we get into habitats like this where there's floating weeds, and we can wade across and fish underneath them to catch the fish that are hiding up in the weeds. And then we see things like this caiman, a juvenile black caiman, falling into the water right beside us, unfortunately. So we did manage to miss getting that one in our pockets. So hang on a sec. So anyway, you can also catch fish as easily as taking the pieces of driftwood that are in the water, lifting them out and breaking them open and catching the catfish that hide inside of them. All these weird and wonderful fishes that spend the whole day hiding inside the holes in the logs, only to come out at night and feed. And once in a while, you literally sit on a fish, like I did with this very sharp-spined catfish. when I was trying to cool off and sitting down in the sand on the river bottom. The Amazon is just this land of extremes and scary things. Giant water lilies with flowers the size of volleyballs, freshwater manatees, sea cows, giant river turtles, some of the largest turtles in the world with shells 3 feet long, anacondas, the largest and heaviest snake in the world, up to 21 or 22 feet and up to 400 pounds. There are about 60 species of venomous snakes in South and Central America, which we've probably seen a dozen, including the spherodolance that we stepped over on a rainforest trail. And this Hydranastes, a false water cobra that spreads its hood like a cobra does. We also have down there the world's largest spiders, the Goliath bird-eating spider, big as a dinner plate, all stretched out. And then I had this little pink-toed tarantula that was about 4 inches across that I pulled off the shoulder of a French tourist in Suriname. Learned a lot of French cuss words that day when I told him he had a tarantula on his shoulder. So vampire bats, famous vampire bats, and then the caiman, the South American alligators. This one, a baby a black caiman, and these are the largest predators of the Amazon basin. The biggest ones get up to 20 feet and over 1,000 pounds. And they're ferocious looking, but you got to remember that every time you see something that's really ferocious down there, there's something bigger and badder, like this jaguar eating the caiman for lunch. I like the little tropical fish, and so oftentimes I would have a trip that I would arrange to go and find a particular fish I was looking for. And there's the diversity is amazing. Like I said, 3,000 described species and maybe as many as 5,000 species in total. Beautiful little fish like this cardinal tetra, these dwarf cichlids, something like a tiny bluegill or bass in the United States, pencil fish, more cichlids, tetras, little catfish, angelfish, more tetras, more dwarf cichlids, a banded leporhinus, a plant-eating fish, rummy-nosed tetras, geophagus, all these things, and all of these beautiful diversity of these fishes that attract me so much. So they're the beautiful coral red pencilfish. There's lots and lots of catfish, beautiful cichlids, every color in the rainbow represented down there. So these are dwarf pike cichlids, Bristilla tetras, festivums. This is one of the fish along with the angelfish that they're found all across the Amazon basin, different species. And it's one of the ones when I bring it up in the net, says, oh yeah, I'm back in the Amazon. So you can see all the little baby fish here. One of the goals that when I bring these fish back is to reproduce them. So this is a picture in my aquarium of a fish from Suriname and all the little babies swimming around. Ember tetras, dwarf cichlids. Knife fish, they think there might be as many species of knife fish as there are of everything else. They're anywhere from the very shallow to the very, very deepest water channels in the Amazon. Some places the river gets 300 feet deep, almost like an inland ocean. So the knife fish are interesting because they have the ability to regenerate certain body parts, and they're thinking there might be some application for them in the ability for medical research for regenerating nerve tissue. Killifish, and then we're going to look at some of the monster fish. So when I've been down there, I think 45 times now, pretty much everything that's down there that can bite me has bitten me. And some of these fish have really sharp teeth. Some of these fish get really big and they're very predatory. So we're going to look at some of the characins now. And Rick showed you the one piranha in the jaws. There's somewhere between 30 and 60 species. They grow from 5 to 24 inches long, so a 2-foot long piranha, and they get up to 5 pounds. That's a really big fish. So, but they come again in every kind of color and description you can think of, and some of them make their living by nipping the fins off of other fish, while some of them make their living by biting the scales off of other fish, and some of them make their living by just eating the other fish. There's places they can be dangerous. There's places I wouldn't get in the water where I knew there were big piranhas. But generally they ignore you, they leave you alone. You don't look like something that they would normally eat. But look at those teeth, razor sharp, interlocking. They can literally, the big ones can bite through a steel hook. And they use those to acquire their prey and bite off little pieces of whatever it is they want to eat at that time. There's the famous red belly piranha from the Amazon, the one that's in all the movies where they always have them attacking people. You can see again, just razor sharp teeth. There are a few instances where it's been known that the piranhas have actually bitten people, but they're rare and don't happen very often. They are territorial to an extent when they guard their babies. And so some people have been bitten when the piranhas are in breeding season. But anyway, lots and lots of colors, lots of different kinds. This is a wimple piranha. They're kind of interesting because they eat the scales off of other fish. So you can see, again, black piranhas and big teeth. And this one's one of the ones that gets almost 2 feet long. It's from the southern waters of Uruguay, and it's a Manueli, the piranha. Gets about 2 feet long. And this one's a fruit-eating piranha, so they're not all meat eaters and not all ferocious. So this is what we see down there a lot, is that we talk about man-eating piranhas, but it's all more often likely that the piranhas get eaten by man, and they're smoking these. They're not bad. They're a little bit bony and a little chewy, but you can see that was lunch one day for us. One of the other fish that gets really big, that's really popular on television fishing shows right now, are these payara, and they get big, up to 50 pounds, and they're a fast water fish in the rapids. They're a predator, and they chase other fish down. You can see the size of the lure this one tried to eat. These are friends of mine that are fishing for them, and you can see kind of the deep, narrow channel of the water that these are in. But they have these huge Dracula fangs that come up out of the lower jaw, and they're so long that they have to have a special hole in the skull of the fish that the teeth can fit up inside of, so that they can close their mouths when they eat something. The Cestorinchus, the pike characins, are up to about 20 inches. I've been bitten by these any number of times, and they have super sharp little teeth, and they draw blood. They hurt. They get pretty decent size, the Spicuda from Brazil. And then there's also these golden dorado. There's 4 species. They get up to almost 70 pounds. Gorgeous big, again, a big predatory game fish with sharp teeth and a bad attitude. They'll bite you if you try to hold one of them or get too close. The Hopleus or Triara, there's 10 kinds of those. The biggest ones get 4 feet and over 100 pounds. And they're spread all over South and Central America. They're oftentimes sold at the market. They're pretty good to eat. I've had them before. They're real white, flaky flesh. This is one of the ones that gets 4 feet long that we caught in Suriname. You can see how big they get, and they've got huge, sharp teeth. They're good game fish. They're fun to catch on rod and reel. They're slippery and slimy to hold, though. But you can see that big gaping mouth, and they're a predator that lays on the bottom and tries to look like a piece of driftwood, and then they come up and attack the fish that they want to eat. And if they miss it, they go back down. But the teeth are kind of covered, you saw with the fleshy lips, but that's what a mouthful of teeth that these things have. And they're interesting. They're a fish that's very hardy, and they're able to survive when a lot of other fish can't. And so when we were going along these places where the water is receding, the water in the Amazon might rise 50 feet in a year and then drop back down. And as it recedes, it leaves all these little pools of water. And so we can get in them. If it had a wolffish or a piranha in it, there's only a few species of fish left. If not, there might be 100 or more different kinds of fish just in this little puddle. So I caught this wolffish, and I threw him in that yellow bucket you can see. And I was thinking I had lots of beautiful little tetras that I wanted to take back too. But I wanted to get a good picture of him before I tossed him back in. And when I pulled him out, he was eating my little tetras just as fast as he could put them in his mouth. So predatory fish. At the end, all you see are these armored-bodied catfish that the wolffish can't eat. The pacu is another one of the ones that gets really big, and they're interesting because they have these strange human-like teeth. It's a fruit eater, and so they spend most of their time um, looking for different fruits and seeds to eat. The cichlids get big, 450 species of cichlids. The biggest one is Umbrophorum, a top game fish. These are some in the aquarium that I've had. The Festae are beautiful, every color in the rainbow fish again. Oscars are a favorite aquarium fish. They get up to maybe 15, 16 inches long and a few pounds, and they have this interesting spot on the tail so that the fin dipping piranhas can't tell which end has the eye and which end is the tail, and they don't bite the piranha, they don't bite at the Oscar's tail for fear that they're going to get eaten. We catch them in these little shallow water areas. You can see some in the net there and some wild Oscars that I've caught, including this one that survived an attack by either a wolffish or a big bird. Peacock bass get huge. This is a game fish that has been introduced into southern Florida. There's about a $6 million industry in Florida now for peacock bass fishing. They get huge. There's 17 different species. You can see the diversity. And I've been able to go down there and catch them. Oftentimes they're great to eat, beautiful colors, big mouths. The catfish get huge. The biggest ones are these Piraribas. They get 10 feet long and they weigh over 400 pounds. They're essentially a freshwater shark at that size. And there's stories of them taking dogs, cats, and sometimes kids off the riverbanks. They get huge, and you can see how big a mouth that they've got. And this is what they look like when they're only about a foot long. So if you see this in a pet store, you need to know it gets 10 feet long. Same as this guy. This is a baby red-tailed catfish, and they get more than 4 feet long and over 400 pounds. Huge fish. Jow catfish, 4.5 feet, 110 pounds. This one thinks he can take you. And this is one of the big adults. So another huge river catfish. Most of the catfish are really good to eat. They're favored in the markets, along with fish like the silver dollars. This is the scariest fish of them all to me. This is a Cetopsid catfish. Has tiny little eyes, lives in the deep water, has these cookie cutter sharp teeth that bite little chunks out of you. And I think I'm always convinced if I ever fell in the river and couldn't get out, that this would get me long before an anaconda or a caiman or something else would, because these come in schools of hundreds and hundreds of them, and they're incredibly aggressive. Other things that we see down there, the Amazon is home to many, many species of freshwater stingrays. You can see this is just kind of a pocket picture of all the different rays that can be found down there, multiple kinds. And some of them, like the short-tailed ray, are some of the biggest fish in the Amazon. 5 feet in diameter, 661 pounds. And it's interesting that they have live young. So they don't lay eggs. They have live babies like a guppy or other live bearers would. You can
Jeff,
see them.
I hate to cut you off, but you have about 2 minutes to wrap it up. There's a lot of wonderful questions in the chat
right.
box.
I
We
will
wanna
be
get to
done.
those.
So you can see the size of the big rays and some colorful varieties. I caught this one on a piranha fishing in the banks of the Amazon. There's the stinger in the tail, and you have to be very careful walking in the rivers to not step on one. The Arapaima, this is the fish Rick showed you the scale of. I wanted to show this real quick. They get a lot of the largest freshwater fishes in the world, well over 10 feet long, almost 400 pounds. This is a juvenile we caught. Huge, big, bony mouth. Arowanas or monkeyfish jump out of the water to catch their prey. And then the last one I'll show is an electric eel, 9 feet long, 50 pounds, 650 volts. Even after they die, they can still shock you. They've got all these sensory pores on them that they use to detect prey. And then they've got electrical generating muscle tissue that they can use to send out a shock wave, like I said, 650 volts. And that's it. So I'll send it back to Rick, and thank you. My timer went off. I think I did it just right. So
That was perfect. If you stop sharing your screen, Jeff, that was a
Yep.
wonderful talk. There's a lot of questions. And so before we get to those questions, 2 things I want to show you. There, I have my kids in my school. I've showed my talk at the Amazon. I can show you later the pictures of the boat we stayed on. And we also put in the chat a short video I made of my fish room at my house to see some of the things that a lot of those I get from Jeff. But I would like to show you one more thing, and then we're going to take your questions. So this is a quiver of blowgun darts, and this is some darts that I brought back. Now these don't have the poison on them because that would be very dangerous. Speaking of danger, the only time I ever saw people run in the Amazon is when we were catching fish and there was an electric eel. When they saw that electric eel, everybody took off running. And when they run, I run. But all the other animals we caught. So my blowgun, I actually made a blowgun from down there, and this one's a lot shorter than the ones they use, and there's no poison. I'm gonna see if I can switch cameras here, and maybe I can shoot something here. I've got a piranha set up over there, and what I gotta do is you put this, you put the blowgun right about it so you can see me, and make sure you put that in there, and you put the dart in, and the dart is dipped in a special formula that only the shamans know how to reproduce. It's a mixture of maybe 20 or 30 things, and you got to remember to blow out. And 1, 2, 3, and that is pretty cool. That thing would shoot really far. So when the first time I went down the Amazon, I thought, you know what? I'm pretty fast. I could outrun somebody if there's any trouble. And I saw kids shooting grasshoppers with blowguns. Now, if a kid can hit a grasshopper blowgun, I thought, I'm not going to outrun those kids. I'm just going to be nice to everybody down there. So, Jeff, thanks for sharing that. And Allison, you have some questions. I saw a lot of questions for Jeff. So yes. I'm going to mute my microphone. Jeff?
Okay, Jeff, you got some good questions here. The first one is from Raneem. And can you bring back anything from the Amazon to the US? And also some questions about fishing licenses and such.
Okay, so different countries have different rules, but generally I work with the exporters down there. I have fish shipped to the importers in the United States, and then I can get them sent on to me up in Kokomo. We buy fishing licenses that allow you to fish for the big fish, but also to catch bait to fish for the big fish, which is the little fish that I like. So we're able to do that. You just have to follow all the rules and regulations of the country you're in, and then of course the U.S. rules and regulations when you come back.
We've had actually, so we've hired a guide who has a commercial license. And a lot of our trips have sponsored research. There was a project called Project Piaba, which has taught the people down there what fish to catch and when to catch them. Because some of those beautiful cardinal tetras, once they lay thousands of eggs, they're done for the season. And so you want to collect those fish after they've laid, each fish has laid thousands. And Project Piaba, which when we'd go down there, we would actually help pay for the research and the boat for that, and we'd work with the ecologists down there. We also, there's a list of endangered and threatened species, so we would never bring back anything on that list. And it's a lot of hassle, but it sure is an adventure.
Yeah.
Some questions came up too about the biggest fish in the Amazon, the biggest reptile in the Amazon, specifically size and yes. So what's the largest? So
the largest fish is that Arapaima, the one that Rick had the scale of that I showed the picture of at the Shed Aquarium, the model of it. There's pictures in the old phone book, literally covers the phone books in Brazil that showed one around 14 feet long. That fish probably weighed around 500 pounds, something close to that. The biggest reptiles down there are the anaconda, which reliably have been measured at about 20 feet. There's reports of them being as much as 30 feet long. They can weigh up to 400 to 500 pounds. And then those black caiman I showed the picture of. That's really the biggest, heaviest one. Big ones can be 20 feet long and can weigh almost 1,000 pounds.
Wow.
So those are the biggest ones.
Hey guys, we have to end our session because in just a moment, if you can leave this, you can join our special guest speaker for CSI, which is Camille Scheer, who is the 2020 Miss America, and also a biochemist and a scientist. So I hope when you're finished with our session, you go to that session. Jeff, I want to thank you for taking the time to do this. You did an excellent job. Allison, thanks for moderating, and everybody,
Thanks,
you
Al.
can find more information about me on either Wayne Township Schools, or you can see my YouTube channel, and I'll be glad to take questions and get you connected with Jeff. Thanks, guys. See ya.
Thank you.